Ryan Poles is a guy in a position that I don't think anybody envies, because you really just have two avenues to go down now. Do you draft Caleb Williams, a generational talent, or do you stick with Justin Fields, who had a better year last year than his two prior seasons, but it still didn't really show those characteristics of a quarterback that you want, right?
I don't know. Like, I guess I'll ask you, do you think it's going to work out? And to my prior question, who do you think arises as that number one receiver?
So the second part, number one wide receiver, I still think it's DJ Moore. DJ Moore is still going to be the number one wide receiver. We traded for him last year before the draft. We gave him Ryan Poles gave him the extension. And what did he do his first year? He surpassed 1,000 yards. He surpassed his touchdown total. He had a career day in terms of touchdown catches in one game, with 3 against the Commanders last season. He's our number one. He is our clear number one. We traded a 4th round pick for wide receiver Keenan Allen, but he's got 1 year left on his contract that he signed with the Chargers, and it's for $18 million. Right? Like it's $18 million, unless Ryan Poles within the next, before the season extends him to
or renegotiates.
Or renegotiates. Number one wide receiver in that room right now on this Bears team is DJ Moore. I don't necessarily believe there's a question about it in the room. Outside, like us having a conversation about it right now, it's absolutely fair to think that. Because last year, Keenan Allen had 106 catches. He had, I believe, over 1,000 yards or so, had a few touchdowns. I think he missed a couple games.
Yeah, and you know how I was saying Keenan Allen's like Mike Evans. Mike Evans had 10 seasons straight of 1,000 yards receiving. Yeah. Keenan Allen's been in the league only 7 years, but 5 of those years he hit 1,000, and one of the years it was like 992. So like he was like 8 yards away from it. So he's pretty much 6 out of 7 years over 1,000 yards, which is the production that we haven't even seen DJ Moore have yet. I mean, because of his age, although I do expect him to have that type of success. It's just like Keenan Allen's the more sure thing at this point. He's like Mike Evans coming in, just a little younger, I believe. Because Mike Evans has been in for 3 more years, but I don't think Mike Evans, is he 34?
Evans is 30 something. Yeah, for sure. And DJ Moore,
30.
I think he's like
he's only 30.
Oh, he's only 30. Oh, so he came into the league
10 years. Whoa.
He came into the league at 21, dude. Wow.
Yeah, they just came in like 4 years apart, like in age.
That's insanity. Wow, that's
so Keenan Allen has been the senior.
I was gonna say that's just crazy to just think about how he's already had 10 total years of that, you know. I get, and then to kind of answer your question, we got Tyler in here saying all these moves just to still lose to the Packers. I hate you. And then the quarterback question. I was listening to Part of My Take yesterday earlier. Oh yeah. And they were talking about Caleb Williams or Justin Fields. The entire locker room, you know, and obviously the one at the very forefront of this on the Justin Fields team is DJ Moore, because he had a career year with Justin Fields at quarterback. The Bears, whatever Ryan Poles does, what's that?
That was a career year for DJ Moore.
For DJ Moore, yeah. I think in terms of touchdowns, I don't know about yards. I believe yards and receptions. I'd have to double check. So
okay.
Again, with whatever Ryan Poles does with the first overall pick, is he going with Justin Fields? Is he going to draft Caleb Williams? They were saying on that podcast that it's a bad move to bring in Caleb Williams if you are going to draft Caleb Williams while Justin Fields is still on the team. Mostly because that's going to bring some sort of division within the locker room.
Oh yeah.
You've got guys exactly like saying, no, Justin is the guy. Justin is my quarterback, blah, 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 blah. While you have this rookie Caleb Williams sitting behind him and being like, I'm the number one overall pick. He said it during the combine. I don't have a plan B. I'm going to be the number one pick. He already has confidence. He already knows who he is. He already knows what he wants. He wants to be a legend. He wants to win. He wants to
played yourself.
Just have that. Yeah,
You played yourself.
and
You
that's the
held
thing
them
that's
too
worrying
long.
me. That's what's worrying
It's
me.
already happened. It's already happened.
The market is just like Drew Lock. Drew Lock went to a team. Gardner
Right.
Minshew got a 2-year deal from the Raiders. Jacoby Brissett is going to the Patriots.
And why is Justin Fields so like the Bears
Exactly.
got greedy, in my opinion. It's
Exactly.
like they're like, no, we want this kind of high value for this guy, and we're gonna hold him. And then if you're not willing to pay us that, then we'll just keep him. And it's like, no, you idiots, you can't keep him. They're too big of personalities to keep, and you should have known that before you got your backs against the wall. So now when Sean Payton calls and offers a 4th round pick for him, you can't really say no because we know the position you're in. It's simple as that.
And that's the one side that I'm looking at. I was like, is the Justin Fields trade market right now something that's happening because of Ryan Poles wanting too much for him, right? Like just like, oh, it's got to be a first or a second or whatever. Or is it that teams have either enough film, have seen Justin Fields enough to be like, I would prefer not to trade for him. And especially at whatever price Ryan Poles is asking, at least what he's been asking. Like it's either one of those sides, in my opinion, because like I said, like we were waiting for Kirk Cousins to be signed. Kirk Cousins is signed. He's in the Falcons. Okay, so the first domino fell in the quarterback market. Now Justin Fields, right? No, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco got signed. Like all these quarterbacks are being signed, and Justin Fields is just still chilling there. I don't know, man. I like you said, maybe
how do you
Ryan
think he
Poles
feels about that?
Exactly. And I don't know if Ryan Poles showed his hand a little too early, wanted too much, or if just on the other side, because there are two sides to this, I think Justin Fields is not as good as maybe the media, maybe other players hype him up to be. People seen him. His 3 years in the league already, he has been injured every season for multiple games. He stands too long in the pocket. Terrible. Yeah, sure. I mean, his offensive lines have not been great. Absolutely.
Most sacked quarterback
very good.
years ago.
Yeah, most sacked quarterback. And he is very good at running the ball, getting those like amazing plays where he's running down the field 60 yards for a touchdown. But passing the ball is where the struggles really start. And if you're going to be investing in wide receivers, you want your quarterback to pass the damn ball to your top paid wide receivers. So maybe that's also an issue. I just don't know what exactly the issue is.
Yeah, I agree. Like we may be in a situation where all the scouts and teams have come together on Justin Fields, and the consensus is that it's just not there. The value is not there. I just can't buy into that though. Like you had him behind this offensive line, and then you had, okay, you guys bring in Montez Sweat and you start winning football games. You literally had your entire stadium chanting, "We want Fields."
Yep.
At the end of the season or the week before the end of the season. So I just don't understand what changed from how the fans felt when you guys were winning, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6 games at the end, when you actually had a defense and this team was starting to get some kind of identity and people had their faith restored in Eberflus. And all of a sudden people were like, you know what? We do trust Ryan Poles. We do trust Eberflus. And now it's like, but Caleb Williams looks really nice. And it's like, to me, it's been a fork in the road this whole entire time. And I thought the right thing for the Bears to do would to be having 2 first-round picks for the next 3 years and go with Justin Fields. And if it doesn't work out with Fields, guess what? Next year, Shedeur Sanders and other big names are going to be the number 1 overall pick. And you'll have 2 for the next 6. I mean, this is a generational type move. And the thing is, if Caleb Williams is as good as Patrick Mahomes is, then it's a generational type transaction. So
exactly.
I just don't think I don't have that much faith in anybody, whether it's scouts or coaches, to know, hey, this guy's going to work out or this guy's not. Like, I think we can have a good idea, but there just like an overlying mystery to who's going to work and who doesn't, even though we can't pay people enough to figure it out. I mean, we had Caleb Williams number 1 this year. Who knows who goes last?
Mm-hmm.
But we had Brock Purdy picked with the last pick, and we had Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. That's what the
top 3. Yeah.
That's what everybody came together and agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So to a certain extent, like, we just don't know. So when I lean towards, I guess I'm more conservative in this way, because when I say I would take the 2 first round picks for 3 years, it's because that's a guaranteed thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, now you have 6 opportunities to hit on whatever position you're drafting. Whereas Caleb Williams is like, all right, we're getting rid of all of these picks. He has to work, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And that's why I'm like, it's a for sure thing to get that value right now.
It really is. Look, at the end of the day, the draft or what the players coming out of the draft do in the NFL, it's a crapshoot. It really is. Like you said, you came up with great examples. Look at Trey Lance. Look at Zach Wilson. Look at Brock Purdy, who was a Super Bowl quarterback last year, was an NFC Championship game quarterback the year prior in his rookie year. So are you going to hit? Are you not going to hit? Again, it is up in the air. It is all about luck. And it is all about the player sometimes, what their work ethic is like and what their goals are. It's just for Ryan Poles right now. Ryan Poles is a guy in a position that I don't think anybody envies, because you really just have 2 avenues to go down now. Do you draft Caleb Williams, a generational talent, like you said, across the board, being said by scouts, college analysts, the NFL, blah, blah, blah? Or do you stick with Justin Fields, who had a better year last year than his 2 prior seasons, but it still didn't really show those characteristics of a quarterback that you want, right? I'm saying this because if you decide to go the route you're saying, hey, let's get some first round picks for the next 3 years or so, at least we know they're first rounders and the talent is amazing, and you go with Justin Fields, okay. If it doesn't work out and Caleb Williams works out to be you are fired, you are a foregone conclusion in the world of NFL. Absolutely you are.
Not if you draft well. Not if you draft well. If you bring in 6 stars like Seattle did when they lost Russ.
But even then, you had the opportunity to not only have the 9th overall pick in this draft, but have the 1st overall pick, and didn't bring in a generational talent, assumingly, right, of Caleb Williams, and he works out in the next 10 years and becomes this Super Bowl winning quarterback, to a Bears franchise who has not been able to draft a quarterback since Jim McMahon. Like that.
You can't draft somebody based on how people will perceive you.
That's all the draft is, though. That's what I'm saying is GMs have been doing this forever. The thing is, what you and I'm pretty sure the entire NFL, anybody who watches football realizes, is these guys tend to either work out well, not work out at all, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, or they're just kind of in the middle. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, like, with what Ryan Poles is going through, what his decision is right now is one of the toughest decisions that any GM can really have at this point, because again, look at the Bears franchise over the last 50 years, and you see one quarterback that has been very good for the Bears organization, and that was a trade from your Broncos to bring Jay Cutler to the Bears and become the quarterback.
Woo! Vandy!
That was the one. We cannot develop, and draft a quarterback for shit. So if this guy, Caleb Williams, works out and we go with Justin Fields and we say he had a great season with DJ Moore, we brought in Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, the defense is great, and you still miss on Caleb Williams and you don't get a Super Bowl in the next 5 years with this team that you have, you're done. You're done in the NFL. You're just done.
Wow. I don't think so. Because look at all the people that didn't draft Mahomes, and they're all still here.
Yeah, but I will say with Mahomes, like, Deshaun Watson was up there as well, right? Like, in terms of quarterbacks. Yeah, and Mahomes really wasn't, but Mahomes wasn't necessarily scouted as one of the top recruits.
So yeah,
he wasn't a Trevor Lawrence, he wasn't an Andrew Luck, he's not a
Joe
Caleb Williams,
Burrow.
he wasn't a Joe Burrow during his time in Texas Tech leading up to draft. It wasn't a black and white, you pick them or you're a failure type of thing.
I think ultimately, like, if the Bears are able to turn the number 1 overall pick into 3 first rounders, I think even if Caleb Williams is like a generational type talent, people still, like, if the Bears didn't get 3 and it was like 2 or 1, like, no, that's a terrible thing. But I think there's a scenario, and the Rams and Detroit both were in it last year, where it's like, who won the Matthew Stafford trade? It's like, well, no one lost. And if Caleb Williams is not generational, which it's more likely that he's great or good or just above average than, the next Tom Brady.
Patrick Mahomes.
Statistically,
Tom Brady.
There's a lot of levels he could fall on that's less likely than elite. And if that happens, if he falls in any of those, the Bears did the right thing. It's like only if this very like unique thing, but most people are coming together and saying that it's going to happen, even though, no one knows these things, but it's like they're right a lot of times. They were right about Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, all the other people that they draft that high. But I guess you just have to look forward and say, is there going to be this kind of hype in the next 2 to 3 years? And how much do we believe in Justin Fields? Like, do we not believe in Justin Fields? Could he win a Super Bowl? Like, if he can, like, why are we chasing? It just seems like it's like the song by J. Cole, Love Yours, where he's like, there's always going to be a better bitch. There's always going to be, a doper house, but you're never going to be happy till you love yours.
Yeah.
And it's like, the Bears have everything they need. And if they use this pick, they can set their franchise up for multiple Super Bowls. And Justin Fields could lead them to that. And it could be like, we finally had a fork in the road, and we finally decided to water the quarterback seed and not chase.
I totally see that. So the reason I'm leaning more towards Caleb Williams, right, is you kind of said it too. You're like, hey, if you go with Justin Fields and you trade the first overall pick for first round picks the next few years, you have to look at this also in the scope of where the Bears are at now. They have DJ Moore, a relatively young wide receiver who is having amazing season so far in his career. You've got a defense that just the last half of last season were doing really well. If you go Justin Fields, he's not the guy. And let's just take Caleb Williams out of the equation completely, right? Justin Fields isn't the guy. You don't pick up his fifth-year option. There's another year wasted of DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, 1 year off of DeAndre Swift's contract. Some of the contracts on the defensive side, Montez Sweat, Tremaine Edmonds, Jalen Johnson, those guys, right? And now, let's say in 2 years in the 2025 draft, let's say you do draft another quarterback who's probably going to be the top-rated quarterback, whoever that may be. That season becomes a rebuild year, right? Unless a CJ Stroud Texans type of year happens, you have just gone through 2 years of your improved defense, 2 years of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and those offensive weapons. You're looking at year 2 of that quarterback as the 5th year of the Bears rebuild plan. The Bears rebuild plan has been in effect for the last 2 years. You got all these guys, you improved the defense over this last trade deadline, over last offseason with Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, and so on. Jalen Johnson, you just re-signed. So when you're thinking of it in the scope of what it means overall, you're not really looking to be competitive for another 3 years if Justin Fields does not work out and you go with him instead of Caleb Williams. I totally, because like you're saying, you still have first round picks for the next couple of years. You're right. But again, if we do end up going that route with Justin Fields and he doesn't work out, you don't pick up his 5th-year option, you draft a quarterback, that's another rebuild season. That's another 2 years in a sense that you really have to look at whatever happens. We're going to be better by this quarterback's third year. So again, you're 5 years down the line of we've been rebuilding for half a decade.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I'm looking at it, is like, that's why I'm leaning more towards Caleb Williams, because at least now you know exactly what DJ Moore is. Keenan Allen can be another asset. And you restart your quarterback market in a sense with money wise, right? That's kind of why I'm leaning towards that more, because in the entire scope of what the Bears are right now, Eberflus being the head coach and whatnot, that's why I'm leaning more towards Caleb Williams.
So imagine this is hilarious. So imagine the Tennessee Titans really want to move up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we're going to give you 3 first-round picks. So next year, let's say Caleb Williams doesn't work out that well. Let's say he doesn't work out at all. He was like Vince Young. The talent was there, but something just goes wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe even he's like who's the guy drafted out of LSU that went to the Raiders?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. So,
He got like $100 million contract.
Yes, I can't. For the life of me, I can't remember his name right now.
I think it starts with an M. It'll come to me. Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah. So imagine like he turns out to be like a Jamarcus Russell or something. Okay, so next year,
that'd be so bad.
You draft the best wide receiver in the draft, which is probably going to be DeCorian Moore out of LSU. And then you draft another like dope ass edge rusher, like the number 1 edge rusher. All right. Then it's 2026. All right. The Bears are still loading up. With the first pick in the 2026 NFL draft, the Chicago Bears select Arch Manning, Texas.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying
that would be
2
ridiculous.
years away.
Ridiculous.
It seems like, we never know when we're going to see a prospect like this again. In 2 years, Arch Manning will be all of that. And Nico, the guy out of Tennessee, and Dante Moore from Oregon supposed to be the big 3. But like, there's always waves of this happening. So if you cash in on 6 first-round picks, because like you said, the cornerback position, the wide receiver, the edge, these guys are coming out of college more pro-ready than ever. The quarterback position's the one where you're gambling. So if you could take 5 of those 6 picks and draft wide receivers, corners, and edge and positions that work out, you could just draft Arch Manning, just push it down the road a little bit and have fun acquiring an all-star team, essentially, in the process.
Yeah, but you're also hoping from here, from today, you're also hoping that Arch Manning becomes as hyped as Caleb Williams or as Trevor Lawrence or Luck.
Well,
or
leave it to the media
Brady.
to find someone to hype up.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. Absolutely, that will happen. I just think that you cannot go this draft without drafting Caleb Williams. I really do not think you can pass up. Like, again, Justin Fields, what he's done, the excitement he's brought me and all Bears fans across the nation has been awesome, man. Like what he did in his year 2 when he was the full starter, like it was, we all had hopes of that game, that week 1 game against the Packers this past season. We're like, we're going to fucking crush you guys. Justin Fields is going to be our first 3,000 plus yard passer over a season. He's going to run all over Green. And what happened? They fell flat on their fucking asses. It's personal. They fell flat on their asses. And throughout the entire season, it just felt that way. It felt like we could never win. That's just what it felt like. So I think, again, that's why
he doesn't wear any more Bears gear, right?
That's what you said. That's why I think he doesn't wear any more. That's why I don't wear any more Bears gear. Justin Fields might be the same.
No, I was talking about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Fields too, but
well, the last thing I'll say about it is Justin Fields was asked recently about this whole thing, and he said he has no inclination. I don't want to paraphrase. Let me just pull it up really quick. I believe he said no inclination that the Bears will draft a quarterback, and that he's going to be the guy. Which is weird, right? I don't know if he's just saying that, but he's saying, I don't think we're going to draft a quarterback. Justin Fields, trade market isn't shrinking. It never existed in the first place. Man, he seems like he's all over the place right now a little bit. I can't imagine though. Like his whole life is just up in the air right now. But I wanted to close with this. Where did I say Justin Fields was going, Rick?
The Broncos.
And where is Justin Fields going to be when week 1 kicks off?
He's probably going to be on the Broncos.
Justin Fields is going to be taking the snaps week 1 versus Russell Wilson against the Steelers in Denver.
Wow.
Let's go.
Wow.
2024 is going to be crazy.
Wow.